Okay, thank you. Evening, everyone. Let's continue.
现在这个中国也有求道的沙门。
They said, now the Chinese also have a Shravana who seeks the way.
"说这一句话，这证明啊，意思就是以前中国没有求道的沙门。
This saying proved that in the past there were no Shramanas seeking the way from China.
没有求道的沙门，都是不修行的沙门，没有修行的沙门。
There were no Shramanas seeking the way, only Shramanas who didn't cultivate. There was not a single Shramana who were cultivating.
那么现在有大点求道的沙门了，他们都没有他这么聪明。
But now there is a Shramana seeking the way. None of them were as smart as him.
于是乎嘛，才不敢轻慢中国的沙门。
Therefore, they dared not look down upon Chinese Shramanas anymore.
对于远来的中国的沙门呢，也都很恭敬了。很恭敬啊。
They became respectful toward Chinese Shramanas who had come a long way. They became respectful.
这时候，这位角贤法师也对于这个智圆法师印象很好。
At that time, Dharma Master Jushan also had a very good impression of Dharma Master Zhiyan.
大家要就是志同道合了啊，认为他是一个特别的人才呀。
They probably cherished the same ideals and followed the same path. Dharma Master Jushan thought Dharma Master Zhiyan was a special talent.
于是乎，这个智圆法师就说是我们中国呀，沙门呢没有真正善知识，所以呀。
Thus, Dharma Master Zhiyan said, "We Chinese Shramanas have no real good knowing advisors."
也正果的人很少啊，你可不可以同我到中国去弘扬佛法呢？
So very few of us can attain the fruition. Could you go to China with me to propagate the Buddha Dharma?
前我讲这个角贤法师那时候说，他就跪那儿不起来，说你如果不去啊，不接受我的请啊，我就不起来了。我这是违法忘躯，我在你们。
Earlier, I talked about this Dharma Master Jushan. At that time, I said Dharma Master Zhiyan kneeled there and wouldn't get up.
前跪死这个地方啊，这个角贤法师。
He said, "If you don't accept my invitation, I won't get up. I will forget my body for the sake of the Dharma."
也是老婆心切
I will kneel in front of you right here until I die. Dharma Master Zhishan was so eager, like an old lady.
老婆心切，像女人似的，太慈悲了。他老婆心切，就答应他。
He was eager, like an old lady, like a woman. He was too compassionate. Because he was eager like an old lady, he agreed.
答应两个人就到中国来，一走走了是3年呢，到中国。
He agreed. So the two of them went to China. They walked 3 years to get to China.
到中国，这个智严法师就跟着这个讲心法师来修佛法，修来修去，
Dharma Master Ziyan followed Dharma Master Zhishan to study the Buddha Dharma. They studied and studied.
你还记得有一个道恒啊，这个道恒啊，法师，就说这个教贤法师打妄语了。
Do you still remember Dao Heng? Dharma Master Dao Heng said that Dharma Master Zhishan was lying.
说他标义现奇，就是出众和众人不同了，就把他欠他了。
He said that Dharma Master Zhishan wanted to act special and be in the spotlight and to be different from others, so he kicked him out.
智严法师请来这个法师，本来他跟着学佛法。
Dharma Master Ziyan invited Dharma Master Zhishan. Originally, he studied the Buddha Dharma under him.
学得很好的，得到很多益处，这回让人家欠他了，就给撵走了，不留了。
And he felt that this was very good and that he had gained much benefit. This time, Dharma Master Zhishan got kicked out. Kicked out. They wouldn't keep him anymore.
不留智严法师从那里走。
They wouldn't keep him, so Dharma Master Zhiyan left that place as well.
走了就到了山东，到了山东呢，是去住茅棚去，那个精舍，所谓精舍也就是茅棚。
He left there and arrived in Shandong. He arrived in Shandong and lived in a thatched hut. He lived in a vihara. A vihara is a thatched hut.
在这个山，3个人在这住，研读经教，
On the mountain, 3 of them lived there, investigating the sutra and teaching schools.
修行，参禅齐定，是非常精进。
They cultivated, investigating Chan and practicing samadhi very rigorously.
参禅习定，勇猛精进，在这用功。
They investigated Chan and practiced samadhi valiantly and vigorously. They applied effort and cultivated there.
那有3个人就坐在绳棚， 这时候呢，就有这个宋武帝，呀，去打长安。
Three of them all sat on rope beds. At that time, there was an Emperor Wu of Song. Emperor Wu of Song went to conquer Shan'an.
到长安呢去作战，作战的胜利回来啊，就到山东这个地方呢，就去观山玩水。
He went to war with Shang'an. He went to war and returned with victory. On his way back, he went sightseeing in Shandong.
当时跟着这个宋武帝有一个实心公，叫王辉。
At that time, there was a Duke of Xixing named Wang Hui, who followed Emperor Wu of Song.
这个人呢，走来走去，走到这个智言这个经舍里啊，到这个经舍里他。
He walked around and happened to walk into Xi'an's Vihara. He walked into the Vihara.
他进他这个所住的修行这个房子，这个茅棚里边来。
He went into this hut where Xi'an lived and cultivated. He stayed inside this thatched hut for a very long time.
这三个比丘也都不知道，不教，很多的时间他也不知道有人来。
None of the three bhikshus knew. They didn't feel him. After a very long time, they still didn't know that somebody had entered.
于是乎，这个王辉就弹指，他们三个人就睁开眼睛了，三个人。
Thus, this Wang Hui snapped his fingers. He snapped his fingers to make a noise. He snapped his fingers, and the three bhikshus opened their eyes.
但是睁开眼睛一看，又闭上眼睛，还是。
Three of them opened their eyes simultaneously. They took a look and closed their eyes again.
坐在绳床上啊，那么打坐。这个绳床多大呢？绳床就平方这么1尺的这么大。
They were still on their rope beds. They were meditating. How big was this rope bed? A rope bed is about 1 square foot.
这三个人又闭上眼睛就打坐，也不理他，一句话也没同他讲。
These three closed their eyes again to meditate. They ignored him and didn't speak to him at all.
他们讲的王辉就问他，说你们三个在这儿修行多少年了？
They didn't speak to him. Then Hui Wang asked, "How many years have you three been practicing here?" They didn't answer.
你们都叫什么名字啊？这三个修道的也像聋子似的。又问他。
He asked, "What are your names?" These three cultivators were as if deaf.
你们在这种修行，对世人有没有什么益处啊？你到都市去弘法啦？
When you cultivate here, it is not benefiting for worldly people. You should go to the cities to propagate the Dharma.
在山上修行是独善其身呢，是自己自了汉呢。
To cultivate on the mountain is only to maintain one's personal integrity. That is only looking after oneself.
你应该到都市去弘法，到京城去教化众生啊。
You should go to the cities to propagate the Dharma. You should go to the capital to teach and transform living beings.
也不讲啊，他是说了很多的道理，他自己自言自语，对有问而无答。
They still didn't speak. YongHua stated many reasons, but he was talking to himself. He asked, but there was no answer.
还有问这三位呀，但是这三位不答，他更觉得奇怪。
He asked these three, but all of them didn't answer. Because they didn't answer, YongHua felt even more strange.
更觉得这三个人呢不是平常的。于是乎就问那个乡村的父老，
He felt these three people were not ordinary, so he asked the villagers. He asked the villagers,
我和他讲话，他也不答复我。
What are these three monks doing here? How come they didn't answer me when I talked to them?
这些父老统统就说：“哦，这三个和尚啊，可不是普普通通的和尚啊，他们是隐遁的和尚，隐居。”
The villagers all said, "Oh, those three monks are not ordinary monks."
求智，隐居就是不恒隐的意思，求他自己的智啊。
They are monks in seclusion. They live in seclusion and seek their own aspiration.
这是高洁的法师，是最高尚的、最清净的法师。
These are noble and unsullied Dharma masters. They are the most noble and most pure Dharma masters.
这样一讲，这个王辉回去就和这个宋武帝就讲，要请他们到京都去。
So they said. Once Hui Wang returned, he asked Emperor Wu of Song to invite them to the capital.
宋武帝啊，就派使臣呢到这请这三位，一次请他也不去啊。
Then Emperor Wu of Song sent envoys there to invite these three people. They invited them the first time, but they wouldn't go.
二次请也不去，三次、四次，甚至于五次都来呀。总而言之，他不去。
They invited them the second time. They still wouldn't go. They invited them the third, fourth, and even fifth time. All in all, they still wouldn't go.
这个宋武帝就派人请，那么。
So the Emperor Wu of Song sent envoys again to invite them.
最后啊，另外两个和尚啊，就是这个智圆的同参呢，就在智圆这么推出茅棚去，哎，说你去。
At the end, the two other monks, Xian's co-cultivators, they pushed him out of the thatched hut. They said,
我们不去，智圆被人家赶出来了，这个当 京都去。
You go, we won't go. So Ziyan got kicked out by them. He got kicked out again. Thus, he went to the capital.
到京都去，到那个地方，这个王辉，因为他很相信佛法。
Ziyan went to the capital. He went there because Wang Hui believed the Buddha Dharma very much.
所以就供养他很丰厚的供养。那么在那儿住，最初住的始清寺。
He generously made offerings to Dharma Master Ziyan. Dharma Master Ziyan lived there. Originally, he lived in Shanxing Temple.
以后啊，这个智言呢，也因为这个始清寺，不太清净，不太寂静。
Later, maybe because Ziyan felt this Shijing temple was not pure enough, not quite enough.
所以啊，在东郊又给他造了一个智源寺，造了一个庙。
So, they built Ziyan Temple in the east suburbs. They built that temple for him to live in.
主啊，就翻译经典，大做佛事，教化众生。
He lived there and translated sutras. He did a great deal of Buddha's work. He was there teaching and transforming living beings.
这位法师啊，他自己很少讲他自己的事情。
This Dharma master, he seldom talked about himself.
所以他很多的这种的道德高超啊，这个最好的这种行为呀，很多人记下来的就很少。
He had many high virtues and best conducts, but very few of them were recorded.
有一次有一个人可以看见鬼，看见鬼呀，就在这一个庙里头就听着鬼讲话，这鬼。
One time, there was a person who could see ghosts. He could see ghosts. He was in a Ghost King temple and heard the ghost talking.
庙就听鬼讲话，鬼说什么呢？鬼说。
He was in a Ghost King temple and heard the ghost talking. What did the ghost say? The ghost said,
这个严公来了，我们赶快要躲避躲避，我们赶快要走开。
The Reverend Mr. Yan is coming. We should evade. Evade quickly. We should move aside quickly.
见鬼，人也不明白，说这严公要来了，他们要跑，要到旁的地方去，要避一避。
The one who could see ghosts didn't understand what the ghost meant by the revered Mr. Yan is coming. It meant that they need to go elsewhere to evade him.
等没有好久，就看见一个和尚来。和尚来，他就问这和尚：“你叫什么名字啊？”
He waited not long and saw a monk come. When this monk arrived, he asked, "What is your name?"
这和尚说：“我叫智言。”这个人才知道。
The monk said, "My name is Ziyan." Now this person knew.
这鬼说是严公，那就是智言法师。
oh, the revered Mr. Yan, the ghost we're talking about, was Dharma Master Ziyan.
于是乎啊，就对他特别恭敬的，特别相信的，真是。
Thus, he was extremely respectful to him and believed in him very much. That was one event.
又有一个姓蔡的女人，也得一种呢鬼病，常常看见鬼来。
There was a woman whose surname was Kai. She also got a ghost sickness. She often saw ghosts coming.
这鬼来呀，干什么呢？就喝他，令他害怕。有人告诉他说：“这个智严法师。”
What did the ghosts come to do? They came to scare her. They made her scared. Somebody told her, he said.
那鬼一见着他就跑了，你请他来试一试。
This Dharma Master Ziyan, once the ghosts saw him, they would run away. You can invite him over to try it out.
于是乎啊，这个家里边果然就去把智严法师请来了。哦，这个有病的人呢，自己看见的智严。
Sure enough, the family invited Dharma Master Ziyan over. Oh, this sick person herself saw.
法师一进门口，哦，这鬼就都跑了啊，像就都跑没有了，以后他病就好了。
Once Dharma Master Ziyan entered the door, the ghosts ran away. They all ran away. Later, her sickness was cured.
这位智严法师啊，他的这种道德的高深，没有人明白的。
Dharma Master Ziyan's profound virtue was something nobody could understand.
他呢，在家的时候受过五戒。
When Dharma Master Ziyan was a layperson, he received the 5 precepts.
智严法师没出家以前呢，在家受五戒。
Before Dharma Master Ziyan left the home life, he received the 5 precepts as a layperson. 这个受五戒呢，但是他不能守戒，放了戒，He received the 5 precepts, but couldn't keep them. He broke the precepts.
这以后他又出家受具足戒，他就总有一种怀疑，说我是。
After he broke the precepts, he left the home life and received full ordination. He always had this doubt. He asked,
是不是得戒了呢？因为我在家受五戒，没有守住戒。
Did I obtain the precepts? Because when I received the 5 precepts as a layperson,
犯戒了，这个怎么办呢？于是乎他就自己专门的打坐希望啊。
I couldn't keep the precepts. I broke the precepts. What to do? So he dedicated himself to meditation.
在这个静坐里边呢，有一种这个圣境，圣 就是这个贤圣的圣，圣贤的圣，圣人的圣，圣。
He meditated and hoped that during meditation there will be some sacred state.
圣景呢，就是有一种好的境界，或者殊胜的。但是经过很长的时间，他也没有得到。
A sacred state is a good state or an auspicious state. A long time passed by and he didn't get any good state.
于是乎，他就发愿，又到这个印度去找这个大德高僧呢，来给他讨论这件事。
Thus, he vowed to go to India to find a great virtuous eminent monk to discuss this matter.
讨论这件事呢，他就遇到一个阿罗汉，他就问这个阿罗汉。
To discuss this matter, he got there, India, and met an arhat. He asked this arhat,
他说我在没有出家以前，我受过5戒，但是没有守住。
Before I left the home life, I received the 5 precepts, but I couldn't keep them.
我出家之后又受戒，不知道会不会得戒呢？问这个阿罗汉，就
After I left the home life, I received full ordination. Did I obtain the precepts or not? He asked this arhat.
阿罗汉呢，也不敢给判断，不敢说啊，你这得戒了，或者你不得戒，不敢。
This arhat dared not make judgment either. He dared not say, oh, you have attained the precepts, or you haven't obtained the precepts.
Okay, let's stop. It's a very long story. Okay, let's go back and see what we can learn from this. We run out slides very soon. You keep this up. Okay, so we talk about Master Chu Yin. Oh my goodness, he went through like 100 slides already. Okay. So I think this happened in a temple in India somewhere, and Master Chu Yin went over there to look for the way and learn from Photo Yin, something like that. And he stood out as a very competent, very able student, and he practiced ascetic practices, which are austere way of life for a monk. So they noticed that, and they thought that this Master Chu Yin was no ordinary monk. It's okay to try it hard for 1 or 2 days, but to do it day in, day out, that's very tough. Just like when many people here have been practicing, participating in Chan Qi for a long time, like 2 months now, and that's a very hard thing to do, okay? And so he says, there's some Chinese monk who's seeking the way, and it's rare because Chinese monks don't seek the way. They don't cultivate. And they used to look down upon the Chinese monks because they couldn't cultivate. They wouldn't cultivate. And not only was Master Chu Yin was cultivating very vigorously, he was pretty smart as well. So it's pretty impressive. So that's why they changed their opinion towards the Chinese shramana. Shramanas is Sanskrit for a person who left the home life. Okay, it's just a monk. Okay, and so they became more respectful, and including prior monk we talked about, Master Xinhua talked about earlier, Jue Xian, was also pretty impressed with Chu Yan, and they got close together, and Chu Yan was impressed with Master Jue Xian, the senior monk. So he says, in China, there's no real good teachers, no good monks over there. So no good knowing advisor. Good knowing advisor, for those of you who don't know, good advisor means that there's a wise teacher. Okay, Buddhism is at its infancy in China, so no really good teachers at all. It shows because the students got nowhere. They don't know much, and their practice really lead to nothing, because very few of them in China could attain the fruition. You see, this is typical of the Buddhist way. And when you practice, whatever you practice, you will see improvements. And the ultimate improvement, which all these improvements will lead you to attain the fruition. Fruition here means that it's a very beneficial state of attainment that will benefit you greatly, and in particular open your wisdom. Okay, we also in our temple we stress that you practice, you should make progress and go towards the fruition. Lay people here should get to the first stage arhat, which makes you an outstanding individual in the world. So wherever you go, you will do outstanding things. Okay, and it's not as hard as you think. Okay, because in Mahayana, the lower fruitions are fairly easy to do, because we have the proper foundations, proper environment. You get there naturally. Whether it doesn't matter what you do. That's what happened to a lot of our people as well. They just came to the temple and follow, come on weekends only and listen to the sutra lectures, participated in morning session and so forth. And quite a few of them also attained the fruitions of first stage arhatship. So it tells you that back then in China, there's really no system to help people attain the fruitions. There are lots of temples, lots of way places, but they were more doing ceremonies and speaking nonsense. Okay, typically, when you become a monk and nun, you're supposed to explain sutras. That's our tradition, and you explain the true principles, not just talk about worldly things and life and gossip. We'll talk about the true principles. Okay, and so Chu Yan says, in China there's no one of your caliber, Master Jue Xian. So please go with me to China so that you can help propagate the Dharma and help the Chinese. And he's very adamant about it. And the Chinese are something like they would kneel down, ask, and they would not stand up. And they do that a lot, okay? And that's what Chu Yan did, and Jue Xian was impressed, and he said, okay, I go with you. Okay? Jue Xian was a very good-hearted Indian monk. So two of them went to China, and they walked 3 years to get to China. 3 years of hardship. Okay, that's a very meritorious thing and virtuous thing to do. Very tough. They were comfortable in India. They got plenty of support, and they left everything and went to India, to China instead. Okay, that's these are very, very good monks. So Chu Yan studied very vigorously under Jue Xian, the Indian monk. The Chinese monk studied under the Indian monk, okay? and they both studied and studied. So, meaning that Jie also was studying a lot himself as well. Okay, and then went to China. They stayed somewhere of some monk, and so he got jealous of Jie. Besides, Jie didn't look like Chinese at all. He's different. So that Chinese monk basically kicked him out of the temple. Okay, so they have a lot of jealousy, and so they were kicked out now, and basically they got kicked out because, I guess, it's fair to say, most likely that Jie Xian and Qu Yan didn't bring much more to the temple for those monks. Okay, they really didn't add much to the finances or reputation. Okay, they basically were a burden. In fact, and when you open a temple, a Buddhist temple, traditionally you're supposed to help people, help all the monks and nuns as well. They don't have to contribute anything as long as they practice, they meditate and they study, then they follow the rules, and they can stay there as long. Okay. So anyway, so they got kicked out because the Dharma they're practicing was actually not only didn't bring much revenue to the temple, much more reputation in the temple, but actually made the other monks look bad because the other monks were not as vigorous, not as knowledgeable. And so they kicked out the Indian monk, saying he's different, he's not a good monk. So Qu Yan left with Jie Xian, so they stuck together. They arrived in Shandong, that's near Korea, okay, Shandong, and built a thatch hut. That's the nice things about back then. You go to a small village, you didn't need to buy land or properties. You simply, find an open space and build a thatch hut and live there. No one would bother you. Okay, and this is way before there were concept of properties over there. And so living in a thatch hut, and the thatch hut is called vihara, meaning it's a pure abode. And somehow we came from 2 monks to 3 monks. There's some kind of magic here, I imagine. I have no clues why they're from Jie Xian to Qu Yan, and suddenly there's a 3. And the funny thing is that the Master Hsuan disciples, no one ever asked him, excuse me, if I were there, excuse me, I know it's a stupid question, but American arithmetic, you don't go from 2 to 3, just like that, So the 3 of them, now all of a sudden the 3 of them studying and cultivating. Okay. And at the time, Master Hsuan was pretty young. He should not be this confused. So they cultivated, by the investigated Chan. Cultivated here, meaning that they cultivate purity. They're not trying to seek fame and profit, and meditated, but practice meditation very vigorously, seeking Chan. So these people. So this is the thing about the Buddhist practitioners. When they practice, they need to build their concentration power or Chan. Okay, because Chan is the core training of the Buddhist life, and so this is to re-emphasize for all of us that to practice Buddhism, we need to increase your samadhi power, to increase the concentration. This is critical to not just left-home people, but lay people as well. Okay? And but in order for lay people to learn Chan, the left-home people need to practice Chan and understand Chan. They have some attainments before they could really help lay people practice Chan. Okay, so so you see these people practicing meditation, and so you see that they are on the right path. Okay? So if in contrast to most Chinese temples back then, they basically did a lot of ceremonies. Go to funeral services and do chanting. That's about it. All right? And so they investigated Chan vigorously and bravely. It's when you practice Chan, when you say valiantly, Yongmen, it means that they have a lot of obstructions there. When you practice Chan, you encounter a lot of challenges, obstructions, so they themselves had to resolve those obstructions, and sat on rope beds. So they meditated a lot. Okay, and in China it was cold. Shandong is near Korea, so it's pretty cold in the winter time. So they would sit on rope beds. So you string ropes together. Okay. Make a lattice, and they would sit on the rope bed to separate them from the ground. Okay, so that's all they had in terms of amenities. Okay, and then they ran into an official called YongHua, and YongHua stumbled into them in that village. And funny thing is that he's an official, high-level official. So as I listened to this, I said, why would an official bother walking into a thatched hut in a small village? Okay, but no, this guy was sightseeing and saw a thatched hut. And what is so appealing about a thatched hut? But he was curious. He walked to a thatched hut. And the thatched hut probably very tiny, and he stayed inside the thatched hut for a long, long time. And none of the three monks was aware of his presence. Okay? So they were concentrating their samadhis. They were in samadhi. So YongHua snapped his fingers, the monks opened their eyes and closed their eyes again. Okay, they are so detached from worldly people. And you can imagine YongHua was pretty well dressed, more so than the villagers they used to seeing there. And the three monks were totally unimpressed. That's unusual. That's pretty YongHua. I'm pretty sure was aware of that, and they continue to meditate in the small beds and ignore him completely. And so YongHua had to ask the villagers, because they ignored them totally. And the villager explained to them, these people are very pure. And so YongHua anyway says, you guys are true cultivators, you venerable true cultivators. Please go to the city. When you have skills, you're supposed to benefit society. You're not supposed to sit here and just keep meditating. So he went back to the emperor So he says, to cultivate in a mountain, okay, is to only benefit yourself. It's true. When you cultivate in a mountain, is really to benefit yourself. To not only benefit yourself as a consequence of benefiting yourself is you have some skills, okay, and YongHua here, actually, I would not be surprised if YongHua here is a Dharma protector of Chu Yin or his disciples, okay, in a prior life. He says, if you practice by yourself, you meditate by yourself, like this, you continue to go like this, you are but a self-serving arhat. Zhu Liao Han, a man who only benefits himself. Okay, when a Buddhist person talks like that, it means it has two meanings. Zhu Liao Han. Zhu Liao is someone who will I translated that as to benefit oneself. But actually, technically, it says it's someone who attain liberation for himself, seek liberation for himself, seek to rise above all this suffering, all this confusion, all this chaos, all this anarchy of worldly life, okay, especially the confusion. So that's why Zhu Liao is that you free yourself from your suffering. Okay, you end your own suffering. Han, Han here is a man, no women. Okay, back then women didn't count. Hey, don't look at me like that. Okay, so he says. So that's what the expression means. It means that you only put an end to your own suffering, your own confusion. A man who puts only end your own, puts an end to his own confusion, own suffering, meaning that he doesn't care for anyone else. Okay, it's the derogative expression from a Buddhist teacher, or from a Buddhist perspective. That because Buddhism, if you learn Buddhism, is to benefit others. Not to benefit yourself. Okay, especially these professional cultivators disposed to cultivate Buddhism. Professional cultivators, I mean monks and nuns. Okay. These professionals are supposed to learn the practice in order to benefit others, to contribute to society by benefiting others. Okay, so you can't, as a professional monk, you can't simply seek to benefit yourself. Okay, so what is this benefit themselves? To sit there and meditate is to benefit yourself alone. It's not good enough in Buddhism. Okay, so it is a derogative expression for especially the Hinayana-oriented type of practitioners, where they only meditate and they don't care about anything. They're just like these three monks. Someone came into the thatched hut. Snap their fingers, look at them, and they're totally unimpressed. They totally didn't care about the new person. Okay, that's the attitude of Zhu Liao Han, a man who only seeks to benefit himself, seeks to end his own suffering only. Okay, and the the other meaning as well is also not often brought up is 自了汉 is someone. This is refers to me. It refers to a regular lay person. Okay, who wants to understand. 自了 Okay, he wants to increase his understanding. Okay, and to me, and this is just my interpretation. Okay, please take it with a grain of salt. It's not how the Chinese will explain it. This is a lay person who wants to know only, who wants to increase his knowledge. Okay, and does not practice. The idea of Buddhism is that you know your knowledge, all that, okay, must be accompanied by your ability to help people. And to help people is not talk. You need to carry them. You need to assist them with your own power. Just like, for example, when you have a family, you have children, and you need to help children. You need to carry in their arms, okay? That's the ability to carry in the arm is that the skills, the strength you need to develop. Does it make sense or not? Okay, so even lay people, you should not forget the fact that you learn these things is in order to develop the strength. Okay, first the strength, and eventually the skills or the wisdom to help others. And when you do that, let me tell you, the funny thing I've been observing all these years is that if you go in that direction, what happens is that you begin to benefit your own families, and the people around you. You go to work, you benefit your co-workers. You go home, you benefit your family, your children, your parents, your wives, your husbands, and so forth. Yes, too.
From Brady, but you have to improve yourself first before you benefit others, right?
Absolutely. What happened is that as I keep on stressing to you that you do all these things is to improve, to increase your strength, if you will. You go, talking to people who exercise and work out. And so when you exercise, you work out, you're supposed to, increase your strength, increase your stamina. That's natural. Why is that? If you do that at a physical level, why do you go into a church, a synagogue, and you don't improve your stamina and your strength as well? It should be also the same thing. Okay, the spiritual practice, Chan practice, will make you stronger, more resilient, healthier. Increase your stamina as well. Increase your strength as well. You will not believe, you have no clues as to how strong you are. When your samadhi increases, actually you are stronger as well. You just don't know how to use it yet. Okay, it's no different from anything worldly at all. So it's still improvement. You still will become stronger. And for example, more productive. I keep on talking with people and say, I work so hard. I cross my legs and it hurts every day, and I push myself. And I find myself I'm so much more productive. I can do a lot more at work, and I can handle the stress so much better than before. I used to panic when there's so much work, when there's so much pressure. I used to panic. Now I'm a lot calmer, and not only am I calmer, actually I get a lot more done than before. Okay, so that's a sign of improvement right there. And we're not talking about very high level either. So you see all these gradual improvement. I'm serious. We have some young ladies here tonight who are embarking on the new careers, okay? And that's what I like to share with them as well, that you are embarking on a new career, and therefore you need to acquire skills and knowledge, but do not forget about investing time in yourself. Learn meditation, okay? We have online courses for you. Tune in, learn meditation. You'll be amazed on how much you'll get out of it, because do not forget that your parents didn't tell you this, that life is simply not physical life, okay, or emotional, or intellectual, but also spiritual. If regular lay people, normal people ignore the spiritual part of life, look down upon going to church, going to synagogues, going to temples, then they simply are neglecting their spiritual well-being. And if you neglect your spiritual well-being, you will not know happiness, let me assure you. I guarantee you it. Neglect spiritual well-being at the expense of being unhappy your entire life, and you pass it on to your children. Okay? So I love this country. When I came here and I saw how the traditional people who on Sundays put on a good dress and put on good clothes and go to church and listen to good words, okay? And this is the strength of our country. We're a very decent country. Yes, we have our flaws. We have our share of mistakes, blunders, going to other countries and export democracy or impose our will on others and make excuses for them and rob them of their resources. That's why we do that too, okay? But fundamentally, the reason that my Chinese teacher brought Buddhism to this country is because we are, as a country, morally very strong. And that's we need to give credit to the Christians and Catholics and such people. I really like it. I got stopped by cops, okay? And for the wrong reasons. I was speeding a little bit, not only. What's the point of driving and not speeding, huh? I ask you. Anyway, and I noticed these people, they even the cops, which I don't like cops, they actually treat you with a lot of respect, and they're real decent people, deep down, They enjoy and give me a ticket too much. But still, you see that these people really respect decency. They do the right thing. They believe in doing the right things. I'm sorry, I came from Vietnam, my country, where I got stopped by a lot of cops in my prior life in Vietnam. And I saw no decency in these people. They didn't care. Seriously, they didn't care about you. They didn't care about right and wrong. They only care about their stomach and their benefit. Here, the average American believe in decency, being right, being fair, being just, okay? And that's what makes this society so strong Even though we have bad leaders and corrupt leaders, the core of our population believes in God, believes in doing the right thing, believes in righteousness. That's our strength. Okay? And I hope that we bring a little bit of Buddhism to this society and raise the ante a little bit, raise the stakes a little bit by making people even better, not simply just being moral, being righteous, but also develop the strength and the skills to contribute more. Okay? In doing so, you will bring your family and yourself to a higher standard and a loftier goal for yourself. Because in my generation, I was mistakenly taught that I was supposed to get rich and and hoard power and recognition and only care for myself. The only measure for success is money and power. Okay? And that's a miserable life, let me tell you. I saw those people who got it. I got very close to them. I worked for them directly. I didn't like those people. There's no decency in them. And that's a very wrong way to live. Okay? You dooming yourself for failure. Yes, too.
From Goat Forest Daniel, it's not related to lecture. Master, sometimes I don't give money to panhandlers because they are strung out on drugs. Do you think I would be harming them if I did give them some money?
Well, each person is different, okay? I myself rarely give money to panhandlers, especially, please don't take it wrong. I go to Home Depot, and I saw women pushing a stroller, babies, and standing there under the sun. I say, the sign says, "Family, please help my family. My child has no food for a long time." I look at them and I kind of look the other way. I admit, I feel guilty because I feel that these people are dishonest, but they really make me feel guilty. Now I feel better. Thank you for the confession. Seriously, too many of them are really scammers. Okay, and one thing I do like is that they're everywhere. By the way, they're everywhere. Not just Home Depot, but at the street corners, at intersections. I drove to a nice neighborhood in our area, San Marino, which is so-called the Beverly Hills of our area. Very nice area. And I would see those people too. Those women standing there with younger daughters with a sign that says family needs help. And these and so I saw a lot of cars of people making an effort to drive over to change lanes to them. Okay, so and then give them hand them some money, probably $1 or so. Okay, I like it. I like it so much. Okay, but for me, I didn't change lanes. Why not? Because I felt that these people are younger. If young people, you see old people who can't walk and so forth, I don't mind giving them money. But you see people who are young who can still find a job or do something, Because I don't know about you, I heard so many stories from Vietnamese women who, in my country, when I was there, there's a war going on, and the husband died, and the country is poor. They had no support for families and relatives. And think of Master Z's grandmother, for example, Master Z in Korea. And his grandmother, the husband died, and left him with 2 young daughters. And this is how tough the Vietnamese women are over there. And this is what made an impression in my mind, my life, because of the way of these women, stories from these women with my own mother and so forth. They're so tough. They refuse help from men who would like to have them as concubines. Okay? And even relatives, and said, if I take money from you, I will owe you. I don't want to feel obligated to you. I owe you, meaning you happen to visit where I live at night, how can I turn you down? Not invite you in. You know, these women, they never said those things, but I can figure it out. That they refuse to say, no, thank you. If I take your money from you to set up a shop, a retail shop, I will owe you. I refuse. And she never explained any further. I guess the rest of the story. So instead of getting money from relatives or help from others, what did they do? They look around for opportunities to make money. What did she do? She told me, she said, I would look at the neighbor, look at the yard, and said, there's a lot of junk in there. Okay, the yard is unkempt. Can I clean it up for you? I would get rid of these dead branches, okay, and your trees, okay, and I'll clean your yard for you. And for that, can you give me some money? I said, of course, I'll give you some money. So she got someone to pay her to clear the yard and collect all these branches, okay. And this happened in many Buddhist stories. A lot of monks and nuns used to do that too. And so she got paid to clean up a yard, and then she collected all these branches and dead trees, and then she went to the market and sold it as firewood. Okay, so this woman, she kept on looking for ways, anything to make money, to raise her 2 daughters. Okay, every single day is a fight, is a struggle for survival for them. And she was so proud. She never asked her daughters to stand in street corners to help her, put a sign that says, family needs help. And she struggled her entire life like that. And never asked for help. Earned everything with her 2 hands. Okay? And she saved some money and did some businesses with cook something, make some sweets, and carry that thing on a stick. Back then in China, in Vietnam as well, in Asia, they have mobile merchants, not unlike what we have here, mobile trucks, taco trucks. Huh? This is America. We have taco trucks. In Vietnam, China, they have things called what is that stick? You take a bamboo stick, you cut it in half, and you take a thick bamboo, take it in half, you make a stick like that, and you carry a heavy load in front and heavy in the back to balance yourself. So the front is sort of like a small coal burning thing, and the back you carry the supplies, okay? So you can cook hot food for them, okay? So she upgraded to that, and so forth. And for her entire life, that's what she did. She's very proud. She says, even my daughters got of age, and she wanted to help me. She said, no. Mother will suffer for you. I want you to go to school. So you see, I came from that environment, so I'm not easily impressed by people with, pushing the babies in the stroller and say, please help. You help yourself, then I will help you. That's my attitude. Okay? It's nothing personal. It's just, but I do like people. People who would go out the way to give them $1 or give them some money. That's nice to see. Okay. All right. So, how do we get there again? Oh, Daniel, San Jose Daniel. Yeah, I too rarely give money to people unless, actually, I don't remember the last time I gave money to a panhandler, as a matter of fact. I give money to street musicians. So that's why I admit to you, I really have no compassion. Okay, so the Duke insisted that they would go to the capital city to teach, okay, and transform living beings. So clearly, this Duke thing here, this Duke guy here, would come. Let me tell you, from a Buddhist perspective, there's such special people would come to spur people like us, and remind us why we're here, why we're doing this. So you understand, the propagation of Buddhism or Dharma actually is a whole teamwork of people working quietly, okay, and pushing each other towards that goal of benefiting others, okay. And again, I want to stress to our young people, the young generation, okay, please do not neglect your spiritual life. Go to church, go to synagogue, okay, learn the good things, okay. Better yet, learn meditation, real meditation, not from the app that makes you feel good. 15 seconds of stillness? Come on, man. Go have a beer. That's stillness to me. At least you have fun. You're entertaining someone. 15 minutes of yourself is self-indulgent, which is nonsense. Meditation is supposed to be hard work, not pleasant thing. That's my tip to all of you. Meditation is hard work. It's not supposed to be pleasant. Okay? Anyway, go transform living beings. And whatever he told them, these people are so Hinayana saying, Han, the people, the monks who only benefited themselves. Okay? Because to me, you see a new person, you've been meditating, you see a new person, you should at least extend the courtesy. I'm not talking about a high-level official, but just someone who comes to your thatched hut. You should have, you there, part of the community. So you should do something to leave them a good impression about you as a member in that community. Be nice to those people, be courteous. It's very Chinese. The Chinese, I used to hear stories of Buddhists, of tourists who would go to China in poor towns, and these people, you can tell they're not rich. Now, by the way, the clothes they were wearing. And they would invite these tourists into the house and kill chicken and share a meal with them. And these people, I think, raise chicken for that purpose only. They rarely kill chickens. Because that's the kind of mentality that Chinese people have. It's nice. Okay? Hospitality is a mindset of Asian people. Okay? It's a great tradition to preserve. And I want you monks now to have the same attitude. Yeah, people new people come in, invite them. Oh, can I offer you some tea? Talk to them, okay? I'm supposed to be not talking to people, because I talk to people. People think that I'm currying favor from others, but you don't have that constraint, okay? You should be nice to people. You should be hospitable. All right. So these monks, they ignore him, which is wrong practice. Okay, and so they finally even ignore the emperor. Just soap here. So you peer. How are you supposed to benefit society? Okay, so they invited, and they finally they taught Chuyen. So the Indian monk, funny thing here, the Indian monk was supposed to go from India to China to help propagate the Dharma. He went there and worked a little bit. And what did he do? He went to a thatch hut and benefited himself. He didn't propagate Dharma at all. Okay, so Jue Xian is very disappointing as an eminent monk from India. Okay, it's because these people were never taught the proper foundation. Okay, let me reiterate for you what Buddhism is about. Buddhism is about to benefit others. This is why we're doing this. We're doing this in order to benefit others. It's not talk. It's about, in order to benefit others, you need to exercise. You need to benefit yourself. You need to become stronger so that you can carry the burden, your family's burden, before you can really carry others' burden. Part of benefiting others is you need to build a base, meaning build a strong family. Okay? Yeah, so when you get stronger, your family benefits from you. And then you go to work. Your co-workers benefit from you. Your company benefits from you. Okay, that's the attitude. Okay, it's real. You cannot lose sight of it. Because if all you can think of your life is to benefit yourself, you'll be very miserable. All right? So he went there and lived in a temple, and as usual, you go into someone else's temple, they have their own ways, they have their own supporters, and therefore you make them look bad, so they kick him out. And he says they're not pure enough, so eventually they moved to a different temple for him, okay, and he built, okay. In a way, it's a nice thing because he wasn't fighting them, okay. These people weren't pure enough to say, I'm not going to fight them. This is their temple. Let me get out, okay. Leave them alone. So that's a good thing, okay. And so they built a temple for him, and he lived there, translated sutras, okay, and they did a lot of work and teaching, transforming living beings, okay, and so forth, okay. And they hear, he didn't talk by himself. He saw the ghosts. He saw these anecdotes, a couple of anecdotes where someone saw a ghost and the ghost was scared of him. That's typical because when you have samadhi power like he did, and when they meditated so much in a thatch hut, pretty sure he was in an arhat range. Okay, so when you reach that range, the smaller ghosts will be afraid of you. Okay. And so they make way, and they would avoid getting close to him because ghosts are scared of the light that Master Chuyen was emitting because of his constant meditation, okay, in his pure life. Okay, and so that's one example, and then. Another case was a woman who has a ghost sickness, meaning this is quite commonplace in China, in Asia in general. A lot of ghosts possess people. And not only in the cities, but also in the capital, or in the wilderness, also in capital cities. It still is the case, by the way. You need to know that our world here, we shared with a lot of beings that are invisible. We physically own the properties, but we must share our space with the yin beings, if you will. They are called yin beings, yang beings, so forth. They are beings at different wavelengths. We cannot see them. When you meditate, some you will be able to see them. Okay, that's nothing unusual about that. And so, because you're sharing the space, okay, your house, your properties with them, so it's not uncommon for people to be possessed by ghosts, and your sicknesses are caused by ghosts. Okay, so she has a ghost sickness, meaning a ghost possessed her. Okay, and made her sick, and made her abnormal. What is a ghost sickness? Especially you people nowadays should know. A ghost sickness could be depression, bipolar people, ghosts, people who are possessed by ghosts, and the therapists who cannot see those ghosts who possess the clients cannot really effectively deal with them. How can you cope with something you don't know, you cannot see? Okay, but this is when one of the advantages of people who have some spirituality will eventually encounter Buddhism, and we tell you those are the ghost sicknesses, and you need to deal with the ghosts in order to address these problems. Okay, so the ghosts could see us. They could see Master Chu Yen, but normally we cannot see them. Okay, that's their advantage over us. Okay, but the ghosts are afraid of people like us who cultivate and attain fruitions, because ghosts are yin beings. Okay, yin beings are afraid of yang beings. These yin beings prefer to be in the dark. So when you have yang people like us who meditate a lot, we emit light. So wherever we go, the ghosts avoid us. Okay, that's what happens. And so same thing with you. When you lay people, you have samadhi power, you emit light as well, and you clear your houses with the kinds of ghosts that are afraid of it. Okay, except for the heavy duty ones. So in her case here, she has some ghosts, so when Master Chu Yen came over, and this woman was possessed by the ghosts saw Master Chu Yen, they were afraid. So they ran away, and that's how her sickness was cured. This is a fact that may be hard for you, ordinary people or lay people of the world, to accept, but the sicknesses are caused by ghosts. Okay, we know that in Buddhism. Okay, so because the ghosts ran away, so clearly her ghost sicknesses were pretty light and not that heavy, so that's why they ran away. Okay. And that's how she got cured. The reason for this is not superstition. And then the story went on to the case where he was a lay person accepting the 5 precepts, any questions so far? And so he received 5 precepts. I knew that he did not keep the 5 precepts. We all break the 5 precepts. That's why we receive the 5 precepts. And then when you break the 5 precepts, there quite often you erred, you committed serious offenses, and that's why you will not be able to attain full ordination when you receive the left from people precepts. So he knew that. So because his Chu Yen is very knowledgeable, so he knew that there is a possibility that I don't have the full substance of the precepts. When you receive the precepts, you have this gift called precept substance from the transmitter monk, okay, from the process. And so that is sort of like your dowry, okay, that you can use, will help you to cultivate easier, okay. So it's a gift from the teacher. Yes, 3.
Thank you, Master. I wanted to share a little bit about the private instruction that you gave me 2 days ago.
I did?
Growing up in America, ghost stories are usually like a cool thing, something you use to keep yourself up at night. You talk about ghosts around the campfire, or, as I got older, you'd have high school friends who would have dares to go near this old abandoned building that's haunted, or, you take photos of orbs, and, it's all kind of fun and kind of cool, and, you get vibes. That was my traditional American experience before starting to come to temple here, and I really appreciate you speaking about both America's spiritual strength generally. I don't think that gets spoken to enough, honestly, and I think it's something that can help unite this country, independent of a lot of the divisiveness. Mm-hmm. But specifically for me, you shared with me that a lot of the reason that my leg pains are so severe is that my depression ghosts are making it hurt more than it should. Mm-hmm. And I can say without a doubt that if you had told me that when I first started coming to temple, I would have just kind of dismissed it out of hand and been like, okay, wacko talk.
You're damn right. I knew that. I didn't dare tell you because of the way you look at me. What do you know? I was like, what do you know? Tell me what you know, man.
So I appreciate your patience, Master, as always, with me. You waited years to tell me, and I don't want to say I thought about it like I used my thinking mind, but it registered with me as something that maybe I'd forgotten. When I was crossing my legs earlier, I was very passionate about just wanting to push through the pain. Mm-hmm. And then I had some injuries, and that made me fearful. And so I started listening to my thoughts more and was able to cross my legs less. But with your instruction to helping me acknowledge that I have my depression ghosts, I shared with Venerable XX, and I wanted to let you know too, and let everyone else know that just in the last 2 days, my leg pains has decreased dramatically.
How much?
200%. A lot.
Okay.
And it makes me to the point where I can say, okay, if I have an injury, I can put something under my knee and I can deal with that. But before, it was so much pain that I just couldn't be considerate about what I was doing. And I just wanted to say thank you, but also to share that, the knowledge that you share about ghosts and depression ghosts and manic ghosts and bipolar ghosts, I really want to say I acknowledge that as an American who didn't have that belief system growing up, and as I've matured and come to listen to it more, it's really helping me. Thank you, Master.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing that experience. What happened is that with these mental sicknesses, the nature of the sickness is that they plant thoughts in you every single day, every single moment. That's why you mistakenly think those thoughts are your own, but they're not. Okay? And it's difficult for you to discern which ones until you do things like unusual things like crossing your legs, which is very unusual, very stupid thing to do for ordinary people. And because of that, because of the special conditions, then when they mess with you, it shows up. It's clear. It's so much more obvious and they meddle with you. Because I know, looking at the flexible legs you have, there's no reason why you would say it hurts that much. Because that thought hurt right there, myself personally, I went through that. They messed me up as well. They made me quit. And then as soon as I unbuckle my legs, because I thought I'm going to break them, and they're so unbearable, and they realized, wait a minute, the pain disappeared just like that. So I realized back then, a long, long time ago, it's those thoughts are not mine. Even the thought of pain were not mine. Okay, and that's all you have to do, and that's why I've been teaching a lot of people. If you believe me, then I would, there's some people who believe me, and I would teach them those things, and boom, they just, oh wow, it's not my thoughts, so I can ignore them. They're not real. That's what happens to a lot of people. Yes, too.
From Catholic Daniel, today a client came to my office stating that he was seeing ghosts in the apartment, stating that he could not sleep. The client and self went to the unit, and I told the ghosts to leave the apartment because they were not in the lease. I told the ghost to vacate the unit, and according to the client, the ghost left.
I'm speechless. What a stupid thing to do. Okay, for those of you who don't have the background, Catholic Daniel is a celebrity at my temple. He's, as his name sounds, he's very Catholic. The more he listens to the Dharma, Buddhist Dharma, the more he believes in God. The more he understands meditation, Buddhism, Buddhist principle, he says, God is so almighty, so wonderful. So that's why he keeps on coming. And he applies our principle to the wrong purposes. If you learn Buddhism, I teach my disciples, and he's not one of my disciples, don't meddle, it's none of your business. What are you doing telling the ghost to leave? What if, Mr. Catholic, Daniel, have you no compassion? If the ghost left the apartment, where is it going? Have you asked yourself? Seriously. Yes, 8. He has an idea. 8 has an idea.
Master would go to his house.
Absolutely. What the person probably didn't tell him is that when the client of his says the ghost left, he probably didn't want to tell him the ghost hopped on his Daniel's back and left with him. And that's what happens when you meddle with others people's business. It's none of your business. Okay? Take care of yourself. Be careful. Don't meddle into others people's business. Yes, 2. Is that it? Okay, good luck, Daniel. Okay, yes, 9, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Master. I had a question about something came up in the slides, the part where they wouldn't respond to the official and the emperor's people that they sent because they had, they were practicing a Buddhist path. And something that I've been experiencing is similar to that as well, where now when I'm trying to treat people with more patience and understanding and kindness, it's being received with more anger because I'm not engaging in the back and forth that gives a release. And so, what advice would you have for that?
I don't know. No one ever got angry at me. I'm the one who got angry at people. So the rest of you who have similar experience, help him out. I forgot. how to deal with that. You see, people don't dump the anger at me anymore. I remember people come to me, they're so angry, but they hold back and say, like, I can't yell at you. You're a monk. Yes. 3, how do you deal with people who are so angry and you don't find they become angrier?
Thank you, Master. Alex, listening to your question, I remember when I was initially cultivating and learning to meditate, I experienced similar issues. And when you start removing yourself from the verbal fray, it throws people off because they're used to having you there as a sparring partner. Mm-hmm. And initially, people can want to punch you harder because they're looking for that reaction. You're taking them off their rhythm. Mm-hmm. And the best solution I found was, and it wasn't what they were expecting at all, was to start agreeing with them. If I could find agreement with them, that dissolved the fray. Because I wasn't looking to fight.
I see. You agree with their anger at you.
Sure. Mm-hmm. I would be angry with me too.
I see. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And
so you apologized, or?
Yeah, I did. And
you didn't mean it.
I mean, I 50-50. Yeah, I meant it 50-50. Like, not as much as I would mean it now. Back then I didn't know as much. But I knew I didn't want to have the problem. So I meant it in terms of not wanting to have the problem. I had someone confront me directly and say, "You don't think I know what I'm doing?" And in my mind, I'm like, "I don't think you know what you're doing." Mm-hmm. But what I said was, "You're absolutely right, and I should have found a different way to handle things. In retrospect, I would have. I'm sorry that I didn't then."
Mm-hmm. And that's called, in sales school, you go to sales school, they call it conflict resolution. I will teach you all, because you have some young women here. People who disagree with you will dump things on you. And that's what you do. First of all, is you acknowledge the anger. You said, "I'm sorry, you're so angry, I made you so angry." That's acknowledgement. You have to acknowledge it. You cannot ignore it and say, "Your anger is so stupid, you're so wrong, you misunderstood me." You're fighting. No, the first thing you do, especially even in the kitchen where it's total chaos and anarchy, you acknowledge the anger. I'm so sorry you're angry. I understand why you're angry. That's the next step. Empathize. This sales school, people, I learned this very early. Okay, it's nothing to do about Buddhism. It's about survival. Okay, so you need to acknowledge people's anger, and then say, "Yes, I know you're angry. I'm so sorry you're angry." Okay, and you empathize. Okay, empathize meaning you try to see it from their perspective. Why you're angry? Why they're angry? It's empathy. And then you resolve it. Okay, resolve the anger. Once they explain themselves. Okay, once you have empathy, then they open up. And then they explain themselves, your attitude, made me angry, your words made me angry. And that's when you say, "Oh, you're right, I used the wrong words." Okay, in the future, please forgive me, but what words should I have used or whatever, So you resolve the issue. That's all. And that's life. Part of life is learning those fundamental basics. Acknowledgement, they're angry, so you go home. Your wife yells at you. Okay? Acknowledge it. Don't be like Jung. He says, "What are you talking about? I just came back from a temple. I'm not seeing any woman." Okay, acknowledge it. You're right. I've been absent. I've been neglecting you. And then number 2 is empathize. Okay. If the acknowledgement diffuses them, okay, to help them feel that they're, they recognize that they're important. Number 2, empathy needs to start diffusing them, okay? Yes, I see why you feel that way. And number 3, that's when you resolve it. Until they open up, you cannot resolve the issue, okay? And take as long as it takes. Just go through those steps, okay? Maybe they're too angry that you cannot go to step number 2. Okay, or number 3, okay, but those are what it takes, the process of resolving the issue. Yes, 9.
Thank you, Master. Something that I've noticed and I really like to see, for example, my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, is that she is so jealous sometimes. So if they go to the store or any place, and maybe my brother-in-law, sees another girl, then my sister-in-law, she's like, hey, did you see that lady? And he's like, you know what, my honey, I only have eyes for you. And then he made her like smile, like laugh. So I think it's a beautiful way to resolve those conflicts as well, just...
Absolutely, you are right. I'm for lying to women. They're so vain. It's so easy to diffuse it. Honey, you are so beautiful. I only have eyes for you. I may look at her, but my heart beats for you. It works all the time. And you better learn how to lie. This is what I call friends way yang. We lie to our teeth. But it amuses them. That's another way to diffuse it. So whatever it takes to help them diffuse it, okay? But in that particular case that Alex talked about, especially when people keep on escalating, there's some people you run into work like that. There are plenty of people like that, let me tell you nowadays. You drive out there, okay? And you drive too slowly. The guy behind you will start horning you, especially he's Taiwanese. Okay, in our areas, lots of Taiwanese people. And you drive too slowly, they're going to horn you. Okay, and you pull over and they go by, and it's a woman. Okay? I saw a long time ago, I always these prejudices. I saw a woman horning behind me, so I turned over and I saw this woman passing me by, okay, and it's brandishing her fist like that in my face. Look at her. I said, you know what? She's Indian. I was so shocked. I said, oh my God, they can be so violent. Anyway, it's just because I drove too slowly. Anyway, in this particular case, in some cases, I'm warning you, this is going to happen very often. Mark my word. They will keep on picking a fight with you. Doesn't matter, you say, yes, I acknowledge you, yes, I have empathy for you. They keep on fighting you because they are manic. They're picking a fight. Okay? That's why they want you to fight them. So be prepared for more escalation. Okay? And there's nothing you can do. I occasionally pretend to be hurt. I let them beat up on me. I would fight with them and let them beat up on me. And when they see that you hurt, they relent. Plenty of ways, but be prepared for nowadays, people get very angry, very upset, and many of them are manic, so be prepared for that. They are crazy. Do not blame them. It's the ghosts who are pulling the strings. Okay? They're not themselves. Nothing you can do. Just take a beating. Be big about it. Don't have to worry about yourself. Your bosses and your the bystanders can see it. They can see that. And you're fine. Okay, don't worry about yourself. Okay, time is up. Thank you, everyone. Okay, good night. More questions? Okay, 5. Tell me about how your husband blew his top at you.
No, Master. So today we went back home. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for, the space you created for me, for my daughter, my niece, my 2 daughters and my grandson. They are really happy and.
Isn't that nice?
Last
year you came by yourself. It's like smooth sailing. This year is like, why is it so hard? Because of them. You see, that's what you do. Now your heart is bigger. You say, okay, I will, bring them here because they're happier here, and they enjoy themselves. Okay, and that could only happen because you bore the burden. They drain you. I didn't want to say anything. I see how stupid you'll be. You were planning on going more than 9 days, right? Oh no, not with them around. They suck everything you have, anything you have. And
I didn't know what I was
that's what we
walking
do.
Into.
Hey, this is what adults are supposed to do. We become stronger so that our kids come over and drop us our strength, so they can run away and play again. Okay, that's what we do for our children.
You know what, Master? I can go on and on with the stuff, but I can just say that I'm full of gratitude, me, my husband, and especially my middle daughter. I not even have a word to say how she wants to even express how she feels. And
Janelle?
Janelle.
That's the middle. There's another bigger one?
Older one? There is that 22-year-old boy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. You look so young, though. This is unreal. You both look so young.
Fasting, Master.
Okay.
And for my niece, she's meditating. She was saying that today somebody was driving reckless while she was going back home. Mm-hmm. So she started meditating the medicine master, and he said, you know what, I felt he was going to crush me, but he didn't. For some reason, I started meditating that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's working really fast, Master. Thank you so
It's fantastic. Much. Wait a minute, girls. The 2 new ones here. Make sure you recite Yao Shi Ru Lai when you drive. It's your own protection. That's very good. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. It's very, very good. And anyway, yes.
Just thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Come again. Okay. Thank you. We made it so hard for you. When she decided to fast, for some reason, a lot of people brought good food day after day after day. I said, this poor girl, what are we doing to her? Anyway.
And me depleted, I feel like a core, that you have a lot of connectors. And so I was the one, it's like everything was sucking from, it was just like,
It's a hard
Thank you
one.
for helping me,
glad
Master.
you.
I know you were there on the way.
I'm glad you pushed through. Okay, thank you everyone. Good night.